Hello, friends, and welcome back to Literacy Time. Are you ready for some more fun? Then let's get started. Today, we will be listening to The Napping House and using picture cards to help us retell the story. Hello, my friends. So let's go over the parts of a book before we get into today's lesson. So we have the front cover here, and we have this title. Can you read the title with me? The Napping House. Good job. We have the author. And what does the author do? Writes the words. We have the illustrator. What does the illustrator do? Draws those beautiful pictures. And if we turn, we have the back cover, which has information, maybe a picture on the back. And then we have the spine. That spine holds the book together so we can enjoy it, right? So today we are looking through The Napping House again, and we're really going to be focusing on what happens next in the story, because afterwards we're going to be doing something called retelling using picture cards, okay? So what we really want to focus on is what happens next in the story. So I'm not necessarily going to read the whole thing. We're just going to kind of go through like a picture walk for the story again. Okay? So we start with a house, a napping house where everyone is sleeping. So who do we have in the bed? It's a cozy bed in a napping house where everyone is sleeping. And we have Granny in the bed snoring. Now, this book actually kind of gives us a hint on what's going to happen next. If you look over here, who is getting ready to walk over to the bed? You think? A child? A dreaming child? So that's who went on to the bed next. Now, we have someone down here. Who's down there waiting to get on the bed next? A dog, a dozing dog. Okay, so we have Granny, we have a child, and we have a dozing dog. Now, do you remember who comes next? And if you don't, maybe look over here and see if it's on there. A snoozing cat. So the snoozing cat was getting ready to go next. Now, can you find, I don't know if the next one's on here or not. Take a look. Who do you think is coming next? Can you see? Let me get a little bit closer for you. Do you see who's hiding there? So small, I almost missed the person or the animal who comes next. It is a mouse. The mouse goes right on top. Now, what happens after the mouse goes on? Who comes next? Do you remember? The last one, a tiny little thing. And on that mouse, there is a flea. So the flea almost looks like it's glowing on top of the mouse. So that's who comes next. Now, I think you'll remember this part. What happens? We see the mouse up in the air. What happened? The flea bit the mouse and jumped up. I think that was so silly. And then the cat was scared. Now, who do you think is affected next? The cat was scared from the mouse. And who would be next? You think the dog? You think? Who claws the dog? So the dog was affected next. Now, who would be next that might be interrupted from their sleep? You're right, the child. The dog thumped the child. Now, last but not least, who are they waiting to now wake up from their nap? The granny. The granny was bumped. Look at all of them. They look so silly. And the granny breaks the bed. Right? And now this part is really nice, I think. In the beginning of this story, we started out with the house all gloomy and ready for a nap inside. And now the end of the book, what happens at the end of the book to the setting? The house is now with a beautiful rainbow. There's no more rain, and everyone outside is sleeping? No, they're not sleeping. They're wide awake now outside. Good job, my friends. So we are going to be retelling this story using picture cards. Today, you will need your Lesson 9 activity sheet, scissors, and some crayons. So for today's activity, I need everyone to make sure you have your activity sheet, and also don't forget the sleeping granny. That comes along with the activity sheet as well. You also need to make sure you have some scissors and make sure an adult is around you when you're using them, okay? Now, what we're gonna do right now before we get started with this activity is we need to cut out all of these pictures. So, everyone, on the count of 3, you are going to pause the video and go cut out these cards so we can start the activity together. Okay? Does everyone know what we're doing? One more time, ready? You're going to get your activity sheet and you are going to cut on the lines all of these pictures out individually. These are all of the characters in the story. And then you're going to come back to the video and press play. Okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3, go! Okay. Oh, we did it. Alrighty, my friends, if you are back and you press play, then that means you cut out all of your characters, all of the pictures of them, and you have Snoring Granny ready to go. So how we're going to do this is we're going to retell the story together, and we're going to figure out which characters piled up or stacked up onto Granny first, and then who was the last. We're going to do a couple of these together, okay? And I am going to tape them up there so you guys can see who was the first, who was the last, and we're going to try and think of things that they did in the story. So these are all of the characters. The first character we see is Snoring Granny, right? She's sleeping on the bed, on the cozy, cozy bed, and that's what she's doing. Now let's go through the characters before we get started. So this was the cat. Yes, so this was the sleeping cat, right? So we have a cat, and you guys can color in your cat and your sleeping granny after we do the retelling. That's why I told you to get some crayons for the materials. Ooh, what was this one? So tiny. The flea, right? The wakeless flea, the one that woke up everyone, and it was really silly. What's this? The boy, right? The child. Aw, we have a little squeak, squeak. A little mouse. And one of my favorites, the dog. Yes. So, my friends, if we're thinking of this story, let's think. The first one we have is a snoring granny. Who comes next? And if you need help with this too, you can always look back at our video after we're done with this part. So my friends, we have a snoring granny. We had our hint here. Who was coming next? The child. Yes, great job. So now we're going to have to try and find the child here. Is this the child? Give me a thumbs up. This is the child. So I'm going to grab my tape. You guys don't have to tape it down. You can if you want. And I'm going to place him on the sleeping granny. You see? So he is now sleeping on there too. Now, who comes after the child? We normally were able to look at the other side of the book to see that, right? Now, actually, for this next part, we see this character down on the bottom near the bed. Who is it? Goes woof woof. It's the dog, right? So is this the dog? Oh, nope, that's the flea. Is this the dog? Oh, no, that character is way too small. It's the mouse. Oh, what about this one? This is the dog, yes. So now I'm going to pile them on top of each other. Remember, they looked so silly being on top of each other like that. So now we have the dog, and let's see. Let's do one more together, okay? Before you guys do the rest on your own. Who was the next character we had in this story that piled on top? I'll give you a hint. Meow, meow. Who meows? Does a mouse meow? No. What about a flea? Does a flea meow? No. So that leaves us with who? The cat. Good job. So we can have the cat there. Nice job. Okay, my friends, I don't want to do it all together, so I'm going to leave the last two characters for you. Now remember, you can color the mouse or the cat and the granny if you would want to. If you want to color them, you can look back in the story too, or make them your own color. And then, my friends, after you've retold the story of them piling up on the bed, maybe tell the story then backwards on how the flea bites the mouse and then they all come off and are then off the bed. The bed breaks and it's just a whole big mess after that. Alrighty, so my friends, you are going to go ahead and retell the story using your picture cards, okay? Tell it to a family member, to a friend, or even a stuffed animal. Another job well done, friends. I will see you tomorrow for some more literacy time. Bye.